For those of you who've done this tag, did you find it like really made you pull out all the weird personal anecdotes that probably no one wants to hear but you want to share? Because that's what I'm about to do. Hi everyone, Rosie here. Welcome back to my channel. This video is really late. Not gonna lie about it. This is a holiday themed tag and we're now, I think, when this is going live in February. So sorry about that. This is, as you saw from the title, the Jolabokaflod Tag. I'm probably pronouncing that totally wrong, and if my mum watches this, she'll be very disappointed in me because that is a Icelandic or Swedish word, I think, not a French word, and I'm pronouncing it with a French accent because that's where my brain goes for non-English words. Too much rambling. This is the Jolabokaflod Tag. Amrita tagged me in it back before Christmas. It was originally created by Margaret Pinard. I will link Amrita's video and Margaret's video down below. I know it was created in celebration of like an independent literary festival that Margaret was organizing called the Jolabokaflod PDX, I think. I don't know if any of the online stuff from that, because of course it was entirely virtual this year, is going to be available still after the fact. I will link the website for it down below though, in case you're interested in checking it out. I obviously should have done this before Christmas, but like I just didn't get to it and then things happened, and you know January's been a tag month. This is part of the reason why. But I'm getting to it now because I didn't want to wait until next year. I think the questions are really fun and I wanted to do it, so seasons be damned. We're doing it anyways. Question 1, the name. What is an unpronounceable or difficult to pronounce word you love? I completely forgot to prepare for this question, so I'm going with exfoliate, which is not a hard to pronounce word. It's a pretty easy to pronounce word once you know how to say exfoliate, but as an young teen / tween, I guess I must have seen it written before I heard it spoken, which for some reason in my head, exfoliate was pronounced exufulate. So I found it very hard to pronounce at first, or not hard to pronounce, I just pronounced it totally wrong and very comically. I remember the first time I said it out loud, everyone was sort of like, what on earth are you talking about? What is exufulation? And then I realized that's not the word whatsoever. This has been a boring story from my childhood. Question 2, the tradition. What is a new to you tradition or retelling of one that you love? This is a new tradition that came about half via necessity. I think I mentioned before Christmas that my partner and I spent Christmas together at our own home together for the first time this year. We'd always before gone back to our families, and I realized in the lead up to Christmas that we didn't have any Christmas stockings. Being the giant child that I am and needing to have a stocking full of chocolate to open on Christmas morning, it's like, well, we've got to get stockings. So I started doing some Googling and I looked on Etsy because I wanted to get like something nice. I didn't want the like cheap red velour with the fake white fur that you get at the grocery store type ones. I wanted something to look pretty nice. But all the really nice ones on Etsy were fairly expensive, as they should be. Labor should be fairly compensated. So I was sort of like, well, I don't want to spend $150 on Christmas stockings. That's a bit steep. So we decided to instead go to the thrift store, get an old tablecloth and sheet or something in a nice white and a red, and we spent basically a lot of our date nights leading up to Christmas in November and December working on hand sewing some Christmas stockings. It took us, well, we watched the entire extended editions of Lord of the Rings and most of the behind the scenes features while working on these projects, so it took us a while. But it was really, really fun and we enjoyed it so much. I hadn't done any sewing at all since middle school, I guess. My partner had never done any, so we learned, we did things in, I'm sure, very stupid ways, but you know what? By Christmas Eve, because we finished them at 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve, we had really nice little stockings to hang up. I think the best part though is that next year, when we get out our Christmas decorations and we unpack that box, we're gonna be able to take them out and remember all of that and remember the time we spent together doing it and the enjoyment we got out of that. So that's gonna be so much fun. I'm already thinking about different craft projects or similar types of things that we could do next year to make more decorations for our home so that over time we can build up a collection of things that we've made and that are really emotionally connected for us and not just, I mean, obviously I want to buy Christmas decorations as well. I don't want to handcraft everything, but I think it'll be really nice to have sort of a lot of memories attached to them and go, oh yeah, these are the ones we did in 2020 and these are the ones we did in 2025, and look at all this stuff that we've built up over a lifetime together. Was that too boring, too cheesy, too corny? Probably all three. Question 3, the adaptation. What is an adaptation of something you love that was made even better or equal? This is cheating a little bit because I technically saw the movie before I read the book, but I love the, I think it's 2011 version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is a novel by John le Carré, and then it was adapted into a movie with basically every big British actor at the time. I actually saw it in theaters because it was 2011, I was 17 years old, and Benedict Cumberbatch was one of the main characters, so like, of course I had to see it. And it was such a great choice because not only is that movie incredible, I ended up reading the book of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy because I liked the movie so much, realizing that the book was amazing as well, and I've read a number of le Carré's books since then and really liked a lot of them. I don't love all of them, and I have by no means read all of them because he has written so much, but what I have read I've really enjoyed, and I'm so glad that I discovered that because of a good movie. Question 4, the mood. What is the coziest book you've read or expect to read this winter? This is hands down, no questions asked, easily by far, Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is a series of letters that Tolkien wrote to his children from Father Christmas. So every year when his kids would send their letters to Santa off to Father Christmas, Tolkien, being Tolkien, wrote these detailed, beautiful letters back telling what Father Christmas had been up to and what his assistant, the Great North Polar Bear, had been doing to mess things up and what was going on and how the goblins were invading and they were being fought off. And it was just so adorable. They were written in this special Father Christmas handwriting that he developed. There were beautiful illustrations. And this was so cozy and adorable on 2 levels. Because first of all, the stories themselves are just so cute and like the perfect thing to read on Christmas Eve / Christmas Day. Pretty sure I'm going to do a reread this year because it was so perfect. But then it's also really cozy when you think about the time and the effort and the care that Tolkien put into these letters. As an adult reading this, you really feel that love that he had for his children and all of that side as well, and it was just so heartwarming. Question 5, the discovery. Who is a new author you've discovered this year that you love? I'm going to cheat a little again and include authors that I discovered in 2020, not 2021, because I think I've finished like 3 books this year. And also, I should have done this in 2020, so let's roll with that. And I'm choosing Lois McMaster Bujold. She is the author of the Penrick and Desdemona series, which is what I've read from her. I've read 2 of her books there, but she's written a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm excited to read as well. Neither of the books of hers that I read made it onto my 2020 favorites video, but I think she could be a new favorite author, if that makes sense. So neither of the books that I read were so amazing and standout that they had to be in the list of 10 favorites, although I think I gave them both 5 stars, maybe 4 stars. Either way, I liked them both a lot, and I think as I read more of her works, I'm going to like them even more. Question 6, the setting. What is the deepest, darkest setting you've read about? In a very literal interpretation, I'm going to use Underland by Robert Macfarlane. I think I read this in September. I don't know, I'll link to the wrap-up above where I talk about it. And I didn't love it, but it is definitely the deepest, darkest setting I have ever read about, because this is a nonfiction book all about caves and catacombs and mines and all sorts of things that are very, very, very far below the earth. And the author in each chapter goes and visits a different location, hangs out with an interesting local person who does poetry or fishes or does something relating to caves, goes spelunking, and just generally rambles about caves. As I said, this wasn't my favorite book. It was a bit too stream of consciousness, a bit too scattered all over the place and not focused in enough on one interesting idea for my tastes, but it was very interesting, very deep, and very dark. Question 7, the hot cocoa. What is a book that comforted you during a long night, literal or metaphorical? I've chosen The Women in Black by Madeleine St. John. This is, ironically, a very short book, and I cannot claim to have read it at a particularly difficult or harrowing time in my life. However, it is a supremely comforting read. It is about a young woman in Sydney, Australia in the 1950s. She's just finished high school, she's really smart, she wants to go to university, but her father's pretty controlling and old school and doesn't want her to do that. So essentially we follow her as she has a summer job at a big department store and see what happens with her life from sort of that point on. Not long term, just over the course of that summer type thing. And of course she meets interesting people and has interesting experiences and thinks about things, and it's just a very sweet book. I read this book in essentially one sitting at a lovely little coffee shop in Quebec City with macarons and a latte after I had spent 3 days at a conference. Now, don't get me wrong, I really like conferences. They're really fun, they're a great way to learn about what's going on in my field, and I'm always happy for the opportunity to talk to new people and get feedback on my work and learn about other people's work. However, I am an incredibly introverted person and I find them super draining. All of the networking and the constant like morning to night being with people stuff is very difficult. Now this one was especially difficult because it was the first conference I had been to as a working adult representing my job as opposed to as a student basically just representing myself, and it was entirely in French. So I just spent 3 days working entirely in French, which I'm fine at, but like it's still a challenge. So by the end, I was so drained. I was batteries on zero, that introverted, just like, I am an empty shell of a person. There is nothing left to me. But I'd planned to take a couple days of vacation and spend them in the city after my conference, so I installed myself at a lovely cafe. It was a rainy afternoon, it was pretty quiet, and I just sort of sat in a booth with some treats and a coffee and read this book, and it was so delightful. And after that I was so much more energized and like just excited to go out and see the city and explore, which is something I've been really looking forward to. And for anyone who's thinking that maybe it was just the coffee and not the book that picked me up, it was a decaf latte. Question 8. The gift. What is an indie book you'll be giving this winter season? One big advantage to filming this after Christmas is that I can tell you about a book that I have given because it has already been opened. I gave Savage Her Reply by Deidre Sullivan to my little sister for Christmas. This is a dark feminist retelling of an Irish fairy tale. I haven't actually read it, so I can't tell you much about it. I saw it recommended on Jolabokaflod's channel. It sounded amazing and like some nice escapist for my very feminist and also very, very focused on physics sister. So I thought maybe this would be a good, like, escape for her, and I'll let you know. If she ever tells me how it was, I will report back, and hopefully it was a good present. We'll see. That brings us to the end of the questions. I'm not going to tag anyone because it's after Christmas. This is a holiday tag. I don't want to put that on anyone and make them feel obligated. If you would like to do this tag and have not already done it, please consider yourself tagged. I would love to see your answers, but also I totally understand that most people have either done it or don't want to do a holiday tag in February. As always, if you liked this video, please hit the like button down below. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.